the end of Canelo's last fight, I wasn't sure we were going to see him this May. He clearly came out and said, look, I'm tired. I'm a little beat up. I've got to go get some surgery done. I fought 4 times in the last 11 months. My body is sore. I need to rest. Lo and behold, doesn't take that long. All of a sudden, we get an announcement that it looks like the man's going to be fighting May 6th in Guadalajara against John Ryder. Now, look, have you heard the name John Ryder? Do you know who he is? Most likely you haven't, right? Most likely this guy isn't on your radar. He's not talked about amongst the best in the division at 168 pounds. But that's who it looks like we're going to see Canelo step in against. But let's be honest with each other. It makes perfect sense. What did you think about that fight with Canelo versus Dimitri Bivol? Right? I mean, we know that Bivol got the win, and we see that, right? But think about it. What did you think about his performance when you sit back there and you look at it? Canelo didn't really look that great. There was a lot of times where it seemed like he was trying to force it and he just didn't have it. He didn't have the footwork that he used to have. He didn't have the combinations that we were used to seeing. He didn't go out there and find a way to impose his will. He didn't find ways to switch things up and change the game plan when stuff wasn't working. And we see him go in there against Triple G. Did he look really impressive in that one? Did he blow the doors off you? Were we impressed with what Triple G was coming in there with, in the sense that we thought he was really going to be able to push Canelo? Think about the build-up to that fight and what we were talking about, and then think about the performance that we saw from Canelo. Look, he just hasn't been his best lately. Win, loss, draw, whatever we're talking about, the man hasn't looked at his best. And it's understandable. Think about how bright those spotlights have been. Think about all the pressure that's been on him. Think about how hyped up things are. Every single fight is just through the roof. He's got to get these wins. He's been the cash cow in the face of boxing for a long time. Man, it adds up. Not only the physical toll on your body, but just the mental and emotional stress that goes along with all of it. Like you said, 4 times in the last 11 months. That's a lot. So it made sense to me that he said he was going to need to step back. On top of that, he needed to get the surgery done on his left wrist. We go out there and we see him release the pictures on that and everything. But here he is, May 6th. Now, do you think he's going to come back, homecoming fight in Guadalajara, against a fight that he could even maybe possibly lose? Do you think that he's coming back off these surgeries, the way that he said he was feeling, going down there and fighting in Guadalajara against a real, true, legitimate threat? I don't even think there's anybody going into that fight before we even name an opponent who would think that that's the way that him and his team is going to handle it. Dude, this is all about a showcase. This is all about coming back and looking good. This is all about getting in the win column in very impressive fashion. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Look, John Ryder isn't a bum by any stretch of the imagination. But every time he steps up, he comes up with a loss, right? We've seen him go in there against Rocky Fielding and Callum Smith and get losses. Think about those 2 names that gave him losses on his record. You look and you say, well, he beat Daniel Jacobs. That's not the old Danny Jacobs, man. That's not the Danny Jacobs that we saw go in there and give Triple G a run for his money. It's just not the same guy anymore. You look at Ryder, he's going to be significant. Maybe not significantly, but he's going to be the smallest opponent that Canelo's fought in a while. Not only that, the dude doesn't even really fight from the outside. He's got like a 70-inch reach, but you wouldn't know it by the way he fights. He's constantly trying to get in close, constantly trying to close the gap. I think that'll play right into Canelo's hands. He doesn't have anywhere near the experience. He doesn't have the power. He doesn't have a high work rate by any stretch of the imagination. What's he got that's going to give Canelo trouble? I mean, he's got some little shifty moves on the inside. I liked a few things that I saw against Callum Smith. He can land some punches here and there, don't get me wrong. But we're talking about going in against Canelo. 100% in a away game. Man's got to fly all the way across the ocean into Mexico. You think you're going to get the knockout? He's not a knockout puncher. You think you're going to get the win in Mexico on points from the judges against Canelo? Come on, man. This is just being set up. I'm sure this is probably going to be the biggest payday that he's had. But this is being set up for Canelo to win this fight. And he's going to win it. He's going to win in impressive fashion. You may as well not even have the judges there. He's going to get a stoppage. What's it going to be? A left hook to the body? A brutal right hand over the top? Tough to say right now, but I don't think it goes all 12. And he's been talking about what he wants afterwards. He's been very clear and very direct about what he's looking for in the future. He wants that rematch with Bivol. Thinks that in the rematch he's going to be able to win. I've thought that he was man, there's been times that I thought Canelo was biting off a little bit more than he could chew in the past. Right? I remember going into the first fight with Triple G. I remember going into the rematch with Triple G. Those were both times that I was like, man, I don't know if he's going to be able to get this one. I remember going into the fight with Erislandy Lara. And not that Erislandy Lara was going to go out and give him some kind of beating, but it was just the styles, man. He was so shifty, so tricky. The way he moves around all the time around the rings, making people just reach and miss and all kinds of other stuff. I'm not sure he's going to get the win, but he does. So I'm not one to sit here and count Canelo out in the sense that you go out there and you're saying you're going to get the win against Bivol. I'm saying, man, that's going to be tough. I saw the way you looked against Bivol that first time. I saw the way Bivol has looked since then. I've seen the way Canelo has looked since then. Bivol looks good. Canelo hasn't. So it's tough to say, but we'll see how he looks in this one. I'm going to break down the styles a little bit more as the fight gets closer, really analyze this and see where I think he's going to be able to shine and come through. Going to go back and look at some past fights and see exactly where I think he needs to tighten up. But it'll be interesting to see. But off the top of my head, certainly don't see Ryder posing a threat in this one. Certainly see it being a showcase for Canelo. Let me know what you guys think. Was it good to come back in May? Should he have waited a little bit longer, maybe for the surgery to heal? Maybe to take just a little bit of a step back from the sport and a break for a second? Are you impressed with the guy he's taking? Or does this just seem like a classic tune-up fight to you? Let me know what you guys think.